Before we dive into these scary stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy true horror content every week. When you are ready, lean back, and let's dive into this week's horror stories. It was 2:13 in the morning when I woke up to a buzz from my phone. Just one vibration, but it pulled me out of sleep instantly. The room was pitch black except for the faint light from the screen on my nightstand. There was a message from an unknown number. No text, just a video file. Half awake and not really thinking, I opened it. It was shaky, low quality, like it was recorded on an old phone in the dark. At first, I couldn't tell what I was looking at. Then it clicked. It was my bedroom. The video was of me sleeping. The angle was from the foot of my bed, like someone had stood there and filmed me while I was asleep. I paused it. Immediately, I sat up and looked around. Nothing seemed out of place, but I had that awful gut feeling that something wasn't right, like I wasn't alone. I turned on my phone's flashlight and checked the closets and corners of the room just to be sure. But nobody was there. I was about to open the bedroom door when I heard footsteps behind it, running away down the hall. That's when it really hit me. Someone was in my place. I wanted to convince myself that maybe it was noise from a neighbor, but I live alone in a block with a lot of elderly people with no one above me. I knew someone was in my apartment. My phone was still in my hand. I could hear them in the other room. I slowly opened the door and peeked down the hallway. The front door was wide open. Not just unlocked, literally open. Then I heard this loud scraping sound from the kitchen, like metal dragging across tile. I backed up and closed my bedroom door, but I didn't lock it. I didn't want to make noise. I called 911 and whispered my address. The dispatcher told me help was on the way and asked if I could hide. Only place I could think of was my closet. So I got inside, shut the door almost all the way, and crouched down behind some old coats and boxes. Everything went quiet again. Then the footsteps started up. Slower now, coming down the hall. They stopped right outside my door. I held my breath. Then the door creaked open. I could hear them breathing, just standing there in the door frame, not moving. Through the little slats in the closet door, I saw someone walk into the room. Tall, wearing all black. They stood there for a while. I couldn't see their face, just the dark outline of them, standing completely still in the middle of my room. Then, without a word, they got down on their hands and knees, and slowly crawled under the bed. I sat there horrified and just watched the shape disappear beneath where I'd been sleeping minutes earlier. I thought to myself, how will I ever get out of this? There was no way I could get out of the room without him getting to me first. Silence followed. No footsteps, no rustling, just a terrifying stillness. I stayed frozen in that closet, behind coats I suddenly wished were thicker. My knees started to ache. I lost all sense of time. Every time I thought about making a move, I imagined what would happen if he was still under the bed, just lying there listening, waiting for me to come out. When the police finally arrived, I nearly screamed. They entered fast. I threw the closet door open and ran out, yelling that someone was in the room. But the most horrifying part was when they checked. No one was under the bed. No one in the apartment at all. I showed them the video, but they couldn't do much with just a video. To this day, I have no idea how the person that was in my apartment got in, and how they just disappeared like that. Whatever it was surely paranormal. Before we get to the next story, I'd appreciate if you'd leave a comment on the video as it helps support the channel. I was driving home late one night from a buddy's place just outside of town. It was close to 1 a.m. and I was taking this 2-lane road that cuts through a pretty quiet neighborhood. The kind of place that just disappears into darkness once the sun goes down. No street lights, just the occasional porch light or a mailbox reflector flashing by. I wasn't in a hurry. Had the windows cracked, music low. It had been a long week, and honestly, I was enjoying the peace and quiet. I remember glancing in the rear view now and then, just out of habit. No cars behind me. But then something strange appeared ahead of me. A girl, maybe 12 or 13, standing completely still next to this old, rusted mailbox on the side of the road. She had on this white dress that looked a little too big for her, and her hair was long and dark, just hanging down. Super pale skin. She wasn't looking at my car, just staring straight ahead, totally motionless. I slowed down. I wasn't even sure if she was real. Thought maybe it was a mannequin or some leftover Halloween thing someone forgot to take down. But it was February. I passed her slowly, craning my neck to get a better look, but she never even turned her head. About half a mile later, I pulled over. Something about it just didn't sit right. A kid that age, alone, out there in the middle of the night? It didn't make sense. I sat there for a second, hand hovering over my phone, debating whether I should go back or call someone. Eventually, I turned around. The road was dead quiet. When I got back to where she'd been, she was gone. Just the mailbox, leaning a little to one side in the dirt. I got out, shined a flashlight toward the woods. I called out, but there was no answer. It felt weird. I didn't hang around long. Got back in the car, figured maybe she'd gone home, wherever that was. I didn't think I'd see her again, but I did. A week later, same road, same time, give or take, and I was just driving along, not really thinking about it, until I saw her again. Same exact spot, same dress, same posture, like she hadn't moved in days. I slowed down and pulled over across from her, rolled down the window and called out real gentle, "Hey, are you all right? Do you need help?" She didn't even blink. So I got out, kept my voice calm. "I can call someone for you, or take you somewhere safe." Still no reaction. I crossed the road slowly, starting to feel tense. I stopped maybe 10 feet away, close enough to really see her eyes. I asked, "Do you live nearby?" She opened her mouth just a little. Then, in this soft, breathy voice, she whispered,
"He is still in the house."
"What house?" I asked, and looked around. There were a few houses off the road, most of them dark. She didn't say anything else. Suddenly, a twig snapped in the woods behind me. I looked over my shoulder, and when I looked back, she was gone. I stayed frozen for a second, just staring at the empty spot where she'd been. I crossed the road, checked the edge of the woods, but there was nothing to see, no sound, no movement. I even called out again. Eventually, I gave up, got back in the car, and drove home really creeped out. I didn't tell anyone about it for a while. Honestly, I wasn't even sure what I'd say. But the next week, same time, same road, I saw her again. Same white dress, same posture, standing by that same rusted mailbox like she hadn't moved an inch. I didn't stop this time. I felt my chest tighten and I just kept driving. About 2 miles down the road, I passed another house, another mailbox. And there she was again. Same girl, same dress. Just standing there again like she'd somehow beat me there. No way she could have. Not on foot. That's when it really hit me. I hadn't spoken to some lost kid. I'd talked to something else. I sped past her. Just drove straight home with the music off and the windows rolled up. After that, I started taking the highway instead. It adds 15 minutes, but I don't care. I never want to see that road or her again. I was 24 when I moved into this small apartment in a city I'd never lived in before. Rent was cheap, decent location, utilities included, Couldn't complain. The building was old, like the 1960s maybe. 6 floors, faded red brick, cracked tiles in the lobby. Bit worn down, but nothing sketchy. What threw me off was the doorman. I wasn't expecting one, not in a place like that. But when I moved in, there he was. Tall guy, probably in his 50s, black coat and gloves even though it was warm out. Just standing inside the front entrance like he was part of the building. I gave him a little nod and a polite, awkward smile. You know, the kind you give someone you'll see a lot, but never really talk to. "Afternoon?" he said. Deep voice, calm, completely emotionless. "Hey," I replied. "You work here?" He nodded once. "I see who comes and who goes," and that line stuck with me. For the first few days, everything was normal. I'd come and go, and no matter the time, the middle of the day, the middle of the night, he'd be there. Same spot, always standing. I even tested it a couple times, went out super late, came back even later, still there, just watching. I figured maybe it was a long shift thing, or maybe there were 2 guys that looked the same. I didn't think too much about it, at least not until the night I forgot my keys. It was a random Tuesday. I'd gone out with co-workers for some wings and drinks, got back around 11:30, and realized I left my keys inside. I figured I'd just ask the doorman to buzz me in or call my neighbor. But when I got to the front door, he wasn't there. The lobby was empty. I looked around a bit, checked the corners. Nothing. First time I hadn't seen him since I moved in. Then I noticed the front door was already unlocked. I pushed it open and walked in. The security desk was completely bare. No chair, no name tag, nothing. Just empty tile and an unplugged phone. I had this tight, uncomfortable feeling in my chest. I went upstairs and went to bed. The next day, I asked the landlord about it. Told him about the guy in the black coat who's always at the door. He gave me this weird look like he didn't know what I was talking about. "We don't have a doorman," he told me. "Haven't had one in years. We use cameras now." I asked him to check the footage from my move-in day. He didn't want to at first, but I pushed a bit, mostly just out of curiosity. Eventually, he agreed. We went into his office and pulled up the lobby camera. I pointed out the exact time and day I moved in. We watched the footage, and there I was, walking in with my suitcase, nodding at no one, smiling at empty space. I felt sick. I asked to see the tape from the night I got locked out. We watched that too. It showed me walking up, trying the door, stepping inside. At one point I froze. I looked off to the right like I saw something. Then I walked in. There was nobody there. I moved out the next week. Didn't care about the lease or the deposit. I didn't feel safe. Not because of him exactly, but because I couldn't trust what I saw. I heard that man. Talked to him. I wasn't hallucinating. And part of me still thinks I wasn't the only one. Because the night before I left, I passed this older woman getting her mail in the lobby. She looked up at me and asked, "You leaving?" "Yeah," I said. "Just didn't feel right here." She gave me this knowing smile. "It's the man in the coat, isn't it?" I didn't say anything. Didn't have to. She smiled a little and said, "He only shows himself to the new ones." Then she turned and walked away.